Hey guys, Glazy here, back in it again at part 3 of our Adobe Animate FNF Sprite tutorial. Today we're going to be doing the animation portion. I'm going to teach you guys how I animate, just some tips, and just generally go over the process. Make sure, if you haven't already, to watch part 1 and part 2 of my tutorial series, because I'm not going to be going over anything about drawing or rigging or any basic tools anymore. I'll link those right here just in case you want to watch them. Other than that though, let's just get into the video. And also, fair warning, there are some major technical difficulties in this. I had to reanimate the idol, but you still get to the end result. So, hope it helps, and yeah, enjoy the video.
Alright, so we're back in the file where we left off yesterday, and yes, I did fix the arm. I know, I forgot to parent it and then didn't notice for some reason, so I fixed that. But what we're going to do now, because we have our rig and everything's working, is we're going to convert everything here into a symbol. Convert layers to symbol, you just select everything, which if you don't know how to do that, you just click, hold shift, and then click the last thing you want to select, and it'll select it all. Right click here, convert layers to symbol, and we're just going to name this. For me, I'm going to name it Vinny, but whatever y'all's rig is, that name your character, just name it that. And yeah, we're probably going to change the name later when we go to do like movement sprites, like up, down, left, and right, but for now, let's just keep it as is. Okay, so now that we've got this turned into a symbol, we can go inside of it by just double clicking. And as you can see, all the parts we made, everything, all the parenting, it's all there. Now, we're going to animate an idol. And I know that some of you probably already have animating ability, but for me, it is a lot easier to time everything when I have boyfriend inside of the same file. That way I can see exactly when his head bobs down and when he does his little squash. You can just replicate that with your rig. So the way I like to do that is I'll just make a new layer at the very bottom, name it EF, change it to a guide layer, and then we go get him. Go get boyfriend. Let's go get him. I'm too lazy to go find that, so I'm gonna go into a sprite sheet that I edited. Yeah. Okay. Okie dokie. So, you just paste him in there. Yeah, and he's moving. He's moving. Wow, that really puts into perspective how big he is. You're a little too big. Yeah, that's better. Alrighty. So, this is going to be Vinny's idle animation. The one thing that I don't love about animating is, especially when you have as many parts as I do, is that you have to keyframe everything, right? Make sure that you do that, because sometimes I'll just be like, oh, I'm keyframing. And then these parts will get ignored because you didn't select them. So just make sure, oh my goodness. Wow, what just happened? Just make sure you have everything keyframed. The way we're gonna do this is, you see that boyfriend starts like squashed down here, like he starts squashed, and then by the end of his animation, he comes up like that. So I'm gonna demonstrate how to do this in two ways. I'm gonna demonstrate it the tweening way, where you can actually just use like the classic tween tools and everything, and then I'm gonna show you guys how to do it by hand tweening it, by hand moving everything. The tweening way is where we're gonna make the pose that we're gonna do, that it's gonna start from. That's our starting pose. The boyfriend comes up like that. Then we're gonna key everything here. That looks a little silly right now because there's no in-betweens. But let me show you guys how to do it with tweens. So To create a tween, you can just but to create a tween on all of these frames, you can just do the same thing where you select everything and then create classic tween. Without it, it definitely looks really weird. That's why you have to do the same thing that I mentioned in my previous video, where you edit the settings of the tween. You can go in here, change it to do something like that. And it's not perfect, but I see a lot of people animate this way. So if this is what you were looking for, this style of animation, then this is one way to do it. And you can edit the tween more, like you can add more frames, like if you really wanted to. Like if you wanted some delay or some overshoot or something, you can do that. If this will play. But yeah, so to hand tween it, quote unquote, the way you're gonna want to do that is make these like in between poses. So also make sure that when you're animating everything, unless you're doing tweens because it's gonna be on ones, if you are like trying to match the style of the game, make sure that you're animating everything on twos, which this pretty much just means that like there's gonna be, here's your keyframe, here's one frame, and then bam, that's where your next keyframe is gonna be, which means each animation lasts for a total of 2 frames. If it was lasting for 1 frame, it would be on 1, 3 frames would be on 3s, etc., etc. But for this game, you're gonna want it to be on 2s.
At 24 frames per second.
At 24 frames per second, which you can check in your project file by hitting Control J.
So I made that mistake with Ramsey animated him at 15 frames per second on 2s, and his animation looked really choppy.
Ooh, yeah, that doesn't sound good at all. Thank you for that. But yeah, so we've completed the animation for the idol. I'm gonna make sure to keyframe where doesn't matter where, like if there's a little keyframe or like a little bit of extra animation, make sure you keyframe the entire column, because when you go to merge these down, you have to make sure that every animation is framed at the same time, or else there's gonna be problems. So make sure you do that.
Either before or after.
Yeah. I just do before because I will forget, but it doesn't matter.
No way.
So here I made a huge mistake and I forgot to show you guys how to duplicate a symbol in order to just create new animations in it, like what I'm doing here with Vinny's left pose. I will explain that later in the recording, but right now this is just going to be a lot of time-lapse footage of me animating. But if you want to know how to do that and you're confused, I'll have links to timestamps in this video on how to do that. And yeah, so just if you don't want to watch the time-lapse process of me animating, just skip to the timestamp below in the description.
Alright, so we've got all of our sprites animated, and I know there was a section that I had to edit due to me losing footage. So I will go over how to get a blank sprite for you to work with and be able to duplicate stuff so you can spread everything all here. So let's say I'll take this idle, and if I want to make a duplicate of it, this isn't the most efficient way, but that's how I do it. So y'all can get mad in the comments. I don't care. But if I want to do that, I will select whatever sprite I want to duplicate, right click it, click duplicate symbol. It'll create a copy. And when you go up into the properties tab, it'll say it's changed it to the copy, but you want to make sure that it's the normal one. That way, when you drag your copy, you can clear all of your animation and it won't be edited. That way, now you can do whatever you want here and it's your completely new rig or whatever. And so that's what I did for all of these. They're their own separate symbols, and I changed their names here. If you want to change their name, you can just click this little slider button and you can type that in there. Yeah. Alright, so now that you've animated all your sprites, the most important thing to do is to save a copy of your file without it being merged, because what you're going to do next is merge everything. So I'm going to save this BB2. And now you're going to go into your sprite and you're going to merge everything down. So I'm going to go through the process of me doing this. Alright, so now that we've got all of our sprites animated and everything's merged, it's time to export them, which you can do one of two ways. I just discovered today that there is a way for you to just be able to export all of these directly from the library. So if you want to select everything in here, go click Generate Sprite Sheet. And all your sprites will be there. Let's preview them to see if they look okay. Looks good to me, I think. And if you want to, you do have a couple controls here. The stack frames options is when you have really big assets and you want to be able to fit them on the sheet. You can stack frames and it won't show every single individual frame of animation. I find that pretty helpful. I'm seeing something weird happening with my left pose. It's like it's smaller than everything else. I don't know why. Let's go in and see if that fixed it. Oh, my dumbass. Well, fun fact, if you want to scale something up, you can hit this little book icon. It looks like books to me, but it's just to edit multiple frames. You can move it to as far as you want it to be. And then when you scale stuff, it'll scale everything. Alright, so yeah, that looks better. We can go to preview everything. Yeah. Alright, so if you remove stack frames, your sprite sheet will be bigger. Yeah. Oh. Program doesn't love doing that either. And yeah, so then you'll see all your sprites. And I didn't specify this in my last video, and I feel like I should have. So, you can't do both sparrows. You have to do sparrow v2 if you decide to do that. And then the other one you can do as starling, but you can't do both. So just know that. But yeah, once you think everything's good, just select a file location for it to save and hit export, and you'll have your sprite sheet. The other way for you to export sprites is if you just select everything on your stage and you just click generate sprite sheet. And yeah, they do the same thing. Alright, so I hope that was helpful for you guys. I'm not sure how I'm going to have to edit this video because I had a lot of technical difficulties, but hopefully that helped. The next video, I will be talking about inputting this into PsycEngine and XML editing, because sometimes you have to do that and it can get a little tricky. If you are interested in that, I recommend downloading Visual Studio Code if you don't have it already, because that's going to be the code editor I'm using.
Alright, so this is the finished result. For demonstration animations, it's pretty good. But I'm definitely going to add some more frames of animation for the poses, because just squashing him down is a little bit jank. But I hope that this helped. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Look out for part 4 soon. But yeah, see you later.